Alrighty, good evening, YouTube. Hajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review. Continuing to do the Matrix. This is the Matrix Revolutions. Majority of the returning cast is actually in this film. Of course, some of them aren't. They were either killed off. Well, most likely they were killed off. But hopefully, I could run this one a lot longer. Because with the last video with Reloaded, I was technically kind of rushing it because I was recording off my old phone and something was up with the memory and the RAM. So I could only record, a certain amount of minutes, and I was sitting and watching the timer as it went down. So that's why I was at 7 minutes. Hopefully this one will be a little bit longer, and I'm going to talk about both movies um indirectly anyway. So this one pretty much picks up right after where Reloaded had left off, where of course, I'm not gonna sit there go beat by beat with the movie because it's been out for a while. But uh, Neo had set off an EMP that put him in a coma, and there were, he was laying on the table next to Bane, who was possessed by Agent Smith, who's a virus that's now in the Matrix. It's kind of funny because they never really stated he was a virus. You had to like read between the lines on that. A lot of stuff you had to read between the lines on, because how the movie was written, and you needed a thesaurus to break down what some of the characters were saying, especially with the architect. But pretty much, fuck, I lost my train of thought again. But pretty much, um it's picking up right where the last movie had left off, right there on the operation table. So even the filmmakers were saying that behind the scenes, it's the only real difference you can technically say is the opening scene. There really was no opening action scene like with the last two. And Neo pretty much wakes up in a world that's connected between the machine world and the it was the machine world and the real world, and it's actually a metaphor for limbo. Even where it says Mobile Avenue, if you rearrange the words, they say limbo. And that was the other thing I really didn't talk about in the last movie. There's a lot of symbolism and stuff that goes on in the background, like certain characters' license plates, and in the ship's core where the Matrix, not the Matrix, where the ships were created. There, some of them are hidden Bible verses, and the chateau fight, like some of the one of the paintings, was a indirect correlation allegory of the Matrix, as well as you think you're in control, but there's a whole other system going on. And it was really talking about the Merovingian, how he had his whole talk with purpose, and well, not really purpose, but cause and effect, which is a form of control. So yeah. Hang on one second, let me take a drink. Ugh. Mm, mm. But pretty much in this one, a lot of things come to an end. And also another stated thing, which was a plot point, but I believe they had changed it out of respect of the actors. But Gloria Foster doesn't return in this because she had passed away. I think it was from diabetes or heart complications. So Mary Alice had filled in her role for the Oracle, but they wrote it into the script where why she had looked different. And it's funny because they did Into the Matrix at the same time, the video game, they had tied it in. And that's another good thing that was dope about the series, by the way. It was telling a multi-linear story in different mediums, even with the Animatrix. But I'll talk about that when we get to the Animatrix. But with this, going back to her passing away, it just really blows because I really wanted to see if they were gonna change it anyway, or what they were really gonna do. Um, and also, Aaliyah was supposed to be in this. Was the last thing I didn't talk about, but the character she was supposed to portray anyway, she was in the movie. Nona Gaye, Marvin Gaye's daughter, plays her part. I think she played Link's wife, and also the characters of Dozer and Tank. That's their sister as well. Yeah. Yeah, at the end, yeah, that's right. So it just really blows that we didn't get to see her in this film because at first I heard rumors that she was supposed to be Niobe. Um, she was supposed to have Jada Pinkett's role, and you know, I wouldn't be shocked. But she did Queen of the Dam, and of course, Romeo Must Die. But someone's telling me I think they wanted to utilize her a lot more, but that was very sad, that had happened. But the guy that played Link, he even said, he did some scenes with her. They shot a few scenes with her before, she had went off to the Bahamas and that situation had happened. And then, it was even he was saying he felt the loss. And of course, I'm assuming Jada Pinkett, had interacted with her as well. And, just good talent taken, so soon. But speaking of alternative casting choices, this was some I also didn't say in the first movie because I found out more different actors and actresses who they wanted, even going back to the first movie. I know for the three main characters, Carrie-Anne, Keanu Reeves, and Laurence Fishburne weren't the first ones they wanted. I know for Neo, they actually really wanted Will Smith, and then later went to Johnny Depp, Val Kilmer, and I think few more actors. And the character of Trinity, um, I can't remember off the top of my head because it was a lot of actresses who had auditioned or who they wanted. I think one in particular, they had even worked with the actress before. If you guys ever saw the movie Bound, it was the second. It wasn't Jennifer Tilly's character. It was the other chick. She was very beautiful too. She's also in Face Off, and if you see her face, you know what movie she's been in. Even on, I think the Cowboy Bebop movie, they even reference her as one of the character models for Elektra. But for Laurence Fishburne, Morpheus, they originally wanted I think Sean Connery was one. I can't remember who else it was. Apparently they said Sean Connery, he didn't understand the script, and then ironically they wanted him to play the architect, and then that didn't happen. And the actual guy that they wanted to play the architect, they originally wanted him for a councilman. That didn't happen either. So it was kind of like a nice little interchange of who they wanted, who they didn't want. Of course, I stated before with the last one, they wanted Jet Li to play Seraph. And even when I saw the movie, I think for the second or third time, I was like, something's telling me that they had to approach him, but he asked for too much money. And then they even had alternative concept art of Seraph being a female, and they were spotting Michelle Yeoh to do it next, and then she couldn't do it. I don't know why, but it's kind of funny how things interchange. Who they want and won't want, who they're willing to pay a lot more money, and who they're not willing to pay. Um, but philosophically, it hit a lot of good points, especially with Reloaded. How it was saying how our lives is just a sum of the equation. Pretty much all the architect scenes. It was funny because a lot of people say they couldn't keep up. How he was really talking like a robot and X, Y, and Z. But there's plenty of YouTubers who have broke it down to what he was really saying. The equation of choice and you know trying to rationalize. Reading, the emotions. So it hit, especially when it was saying how what the interest that had got me was, the whole uh how our lives is really a mathematical equation because it goes back to that whole theory of we're in a simulation, and of course as well as alternate realities. So you have that factor thrown in. Pretty much in my opinion, I think these I think Reloaded and Revolutions, they would have stood out a little bit more if they did a sequel that everybody wanted them to see. Don't personally what I would have done, I wouldn't have had the whole love story thing in the first movie. I would have made a second movie just building on more of the characters between in the relationship between Neo and Trinity, and then they could have hooked up then, and then, when it got to Reloading the Revolutions, it would have waited a little bit more. The funny thing, the Animatrix, I've been thinking about, for the 4 or 5 of the stories connect with the movie, and it just sucks that they didn't, stretch that out. And it was kind of funny how they got a lot of, criticism later on for these movies. And I think it was mainly because of the action. I know some people said that the characters, well, in my opinion, the characters were weak. The story wasn't that bad. It's just that they wanted us to care for a lot of characters who ended up dying, or who didn't have any layers that much, except for Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus, who you saw in the first movie. But there were a few others who they wanted you to care about. And yeah, you had to either watch the anime or play the video game, to see that merit. But, hopefully we'll get another movie like this in our lifetime. I know recently, or I can say a big movie event. I know the Avengers Endgame was, and then I think before that it was The Matrix. So, hopefully, in my lifetime we'll get that event again. Hopefully it could be horror. I love to see a different genre other than action or science fiction. Had that grand scale. Hopefully if they do it right, Resident Evil could be that one. But you know that's a touchy subject by itself. Um, Pretty much is all I have to say. Again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm always open to, if you're telling me I'm right, wrong, have a discussion, yada yada yada. But I will see you guys on the next review. Peace.